of humankind, books, music, video, web pages, software, ever made, permanently available to anybody that wants to have access to it. And the geeks of us would say, yeah, you can do that. Yeah. I mean, if you count up how many books there are, how big they would be, if you put it in bytes, it's all basically doable. But it's an institutional challenge because it costs some money, but it also causes a bunch of institutions to change around, which is sort of what this whole internet thing is, because it's just a wildly able to go and distribute information. So we started this by trying to make the web permanent. So we started by archiving all the web pages on all the websites every 2 months. Take a snapshot, start again, a snapshot, 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 snapshot. The idea is to try to make it permanent. So then we made it in, we started that in 1996, and it's starting to get big. We collect about 1 billion pages every week. We just put out the new index of the Wayback Machine. It's 420 billion pages in size. It gets hit about 2,000 times a second by 600,000 people every day. So it's this big data set that basically tries to make it so that if you hit a 404, you can go and find the originals again. And it's trying to make things permanent. And it's turned out to be pretty useful. So that was a start. Then we started getting better at music by concert recordings, which were not, people weren't suing over. This was sort of early 2000s, so lots of lawsuits. We're now moving into LPs and CDs and trying to figure out how to collect those without, you know, we're not just going to go and dump them back on the net. How do we go and do this with a music locker-like thing, or to try to get CDs and LPs better? We're getting better at CDs. We're debugging some software. If you know Python, please help us to go and make it so that we can make it very easy for people to go and archive their CDs really well. Then we're going to move to LPs. You may have seen the 78 player down there, and we want to get back to 78s and cylinder recordings, just so we have all music. We're getting, then we got moving on movies. There's a film digitization thing downstairs. People can also upload movies. So we have a couple million movies, but not traditional Hollywood-like movies, but more like YouTube-like movies or old digitized films, those sorts of things. Because YouTube really kind of has swamped the field, but there's reason why, I don't know, we get about 1,000 uploads of movies a day of people going and adding things to us as opposed to YouTube or Vimeo or the like. Let's see, books, we're getting better at books. We digitize about 1,000 books every day. We have 33 scanning centers in 8 countries. We have room in the Library of Congress. It's completely cool. So that book scanner you saw downstairs are new ones. We're trying to get that really debugged so we can spread those out so more people can digitize books, so they can basically bring their whole catalogs, their whole book collections digital. So you can use them either physically or digitally, whichever way you want to. And to try to make it so that people don't have to digitize the same books over and over again. So anyway, so there are these projects of coordination, and so, because we don't have so much money that we can just pay everybody like Google did, we have to work with people to go and try to find ways to make it a community project to build libraries together.
Like a Wikipedia.
It's like a Wikipedia, but often with moving the analog into digital, and also dealing with born digital, and not just sort of just what people have typed into Wikipedia. So it's much, 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 much bigger. Yes?
And how do the books come to you, and what's the, like?
And they pay 10 cents a page, basically the labor cost, to get this stuff digitized. But we wanted to digitize more in modern books, the 20th century. And people donated those books to us because the libraries were a little worried about it at the time. And so we started getting better at having digitized books. And we've got, as I said, 1.5 million to 2 million physical books. So 10 million is sort of, you know, kind of where we're shooting for, and it's a couple warehouses full. So we bought a second warehouse because we filled up the first one. So that's starting to move along pretty well. This building is kind of fun. There's this building. We bought this one because it matched our logo. So that was our logo for 15 years, and then it came for sale. And it's like, that's our logo, and so we said, well, we gotta buy it. So we thought we'd flatten the floor and make it into a library, but exactly what a library looks like is unclear.
Right.
You know, it's not all clear. So we thought, okay, well, let's move slowly. The pews are beautiful. Let's kind of just move along slowly. So a few things. We've been adapting to it, and it's been adapting to us. So these machines there and on the other side, those are primary copies of the Internet Archive's collections. It's about 5 petabytes of data. Okay, we're all geeks here. How many bits in a byte?
8
8 bits in a byte. And 1,000 bytes is called a
kilobyte.
kilobyte. 1,000 kilobytes is called a megabyte. 1,000 megabytes is called a gigabyte. 1,000 gigabytes is called a terabyte. 1,000 terabytes is called a petabyte. This is about 5 petabytes of the 20 petabytes that are the Internet Archive.
Wow.
And we have another copy in Richmond and in Redwood City, and we have a partial copy in Amsterdam and in Alexandria. Because what happens to the libraries is they're burned, and they're burned by governments. It's just what happens. So design for it. So I don't know when, but it will happen to us. So have copies in other places. So that's sort of an idea. We're only partially there, but it's getting there. One thing I love about this, I've been designing supercomputers my whole life, is the lights actually mean something. Every time a light blinks, is somebody uploading something or downloading something from the Internet Archive. We get about 2 to 3 million users a day. We're about the 250th most popular website. So people want old stuff, right? You ask this question, sort of why? Why do it? And I think it's vindicated for me by people care. People want it. People use it. People refer to it. People, that there is a role for memory institutions in our digital age.